Hey, this is John Carlos, and from the NECA Pacific Rim Action Figure Series 4 comes the new and improved Gipsy Danger action figure. This is the Hong Kong Brawl Gipsy Danger. Now, NECA had announced they were going to do a 2.0 version of Gipsy Danger with more articulation, and this new articulated version does not disappoint in the articulation department, I'll tell you that. He starts off with a double knee joint, although it's worth pointing out that this top half of the knee joint it's really tight on my right knee. You can see it kind of wiggle a little bit, and on the left knee it doesn't really move at all, but I might put a blow dryer to it and soften it up and see what happens. But you got double knee joint, you've got this, I think it's a ball joint at the ankle. It definitely is a swivel, but you do get a little bit of rotation forward and back, so it leads me to think there is a ball joint in there. But not only is there a swivel in the ankle, but the front of his foot lifts up, so that's cool. You've got the ball joint at the hips. But what's also cool is you have a mid-thigh cut just behind the actual thigh mechanics. So I like that there's a mid-thigh cut. You got a ball joint at the torso. You got the ball hinge shoulders. On top of that, there's a bicep cut. And the elbow is interesting. You have the basic single hinge, but at the other end of the hinge, you've got a ball joint. So I like that it's not really a double hinge, but basically two kinds of hinges, so that's awesome. And then you've got the ball jointed hand, and then it's interesting that the neck here, there's a ball jointed neck inside there, but the top of the head, I can't tell if it's a swivel or a ball joint because it's so tight I can barely even get the head to turn. But there are 2 points of articulation in there, intended to be, but the top one barely moves for me. The biggest improvement for me on this figure isn't the articulation, but the sculpt. When the Series 1 Gipsy Danger came out, I didn't even buy it, because I remember looking at it in stores going, "Really, NECA? This is it?" The sculpt was so smooth and so unimpressive compared to Crimson Typhoon, especially all the later Jaegers they made. This newest one is a vast improvement as far as the actual sculpt goes. There's so much more detail on the surface of the figure. Like the original one had just like this really smooth chest with these little sort of triangle tips coming in. They had no groove lines at all. Even these little groove lines on the little triangle tips weren't there. There's some basic little ridge around the neck. His shoulder pieces were just smoothed over. They didn't have any of these groove lines in them. So the overall surface detail in this figure is just considerably better. Same thing with the thighs and with the knee section. It was all just much simpler. None of these little detailed lines. Now the actual figure itself on its own terms is great. I like the red paint. I like how kind of dirty it is. It's not quite, battle damage the way the battle damage second figure was, but there is a kind of like dirty wornness to it, and I like how kind of dirty and gross it is. I just love the detail though on the back here, like little engine-y sections, the vents, the little gears, behind his elbow. There's some really, really good work, especially on the shoulder pieces. And I like the paint overall as far as like the dots and the reds and the whites. I looked at a bunch of these in stores and I was really happy that they're all really well done for the most part. There's no real major paint issues to complain about on my end, so that's cool. And also I like all his gack on the back. I think looks really cool, the back of his legs. So yeah, I'm really happy with this figure. I think it's a huge improvement as far as the sculpt goes. He also comes with some really kind of cool accessories. One of the coolest moments in the movie is when he comes strutting down the street with this giant boat that he uses as a bat. And I think it's cool that they included that as an accessory with these little finger dents for the hands to grip. So I'll show you that in a moment. But I think this boat, I mean, the detail on it isn't amazing, but it's a little accessory. It's not an actual figure, and I think for what it's worth, it looks pretty cool. He also comes with his little chainsword. The battle damaged one came with 2, but for the Hong Kong sequence, he only busts it out on the one hand, so it is accurate to having the one. And also we've got his fist. So let's try to change his hand out. I don't know if it's going to be easy or not. You never know. Alright, yeah, that was very easy. Now, under the figure's wrist joint, there's that little slit there. And that's where this just sort of pops right on in. And I had no problem putting that in. That was pretty easy. And now I just want to show you guys where his hand fits on the boat. There's a little hole for his thumbs there. And finger grips there. And that's how that kind of fits in. And then there's another set of dents for his left hand. They're not as obvious, like they're not as blatantly sculpted, but they are there, and there's a thumb hole right there. I'm really glad NECA made this figure. It's a huge improvement over the first two, and being that I wasn't impressed by those and didn't buy them, I'm really happy to have a Gipsy Danger figure in my collection now. I'm also really happy that there's just a good Gipsy Danger figure on the market for people to buy. Be on the lookout for the Series 5 version of Gipsy Danger, which is the Anchorage Attack version that comes with a plasma cannon and like super battle damage. I love that we're getting 2 improved articulation, improved sculpt Gipsy Danger figures from NECA. That's awesome. Thanks for watching.